Good, good day to you, my brothers and sisters. Let me welcome you to a maiden edition of the program, the Rural Human Rights Activists Hour. This is a program designed by the Rural Human Rights Activists Program based in the Liberian capital, Monrovia. Human rights is quite indeed a significant issue, an issue of relevant concern towards the peace building process in Liberia following years of civil crisis. As you know, the history of the West African state has been crippled by violence, war, and eventually peace. How do we maintain this peace? This hard earned peace requires institutions, civic institutions that are involved in the everyday, day to day activities of the nation state of Liberia. And today, as we begin and as we officially launch this maiden edition of the Rural Human Rights Activists Hour, we do it in conjunction with the Rural Human Rights Activists Program based in Monrovia, Liberia, where it had its very, very foundational beginnings. And that we're going to go into that today as we have with us a special guest who is joining us from Monrovia. And that I want to use this opportunity to welcome a great, distinguished colleague of ours who has been in this particular aspect of human rights and that has been championing the cause for freedom, justice, and equality in Liberia. It is indeed a great opportunity that we can be with you here today. And joining us from Monrovia, Liberia, is Lorma Baysah. Lorma Baysah happens to be the Chief Executive Officer of the Rural Human Rights Activists Program, a civic society institution, an organization that has been involved in the activities of advocacy and peace building in Liberia for quite some time. Let me welcome Mr. Baysah. He's joining us from the Liberian capital, Monrovia. Good day to you, Mr. Baysah, Lorma Baysah. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the first edition of our program, the Rural Human Rights Activists Hour. Can you hear us? Lorma, are you there? Lorma, can you hear me?
Yes, but I'm just finding it too difficult to hear you. But maybe I'm getting you now. I don't know why.
Okay. Do you have anything like an earpiece or so to be able
I
to
have
hear
earpiece, but
me?
it's
You
not
should
a
be able to
problem with
hear
the
me
earpiece.
if you do have an earpiece, or is it that the signal that is coming through to you is not as loud and clear? If you
Yeah, it's
get
a
that,
signal.
all
I
right.
think
What's wrong with the signal? Is it low?
I'm not sure if you're in, but I'm sure from in here. I don't know people being hooking up with our internet, so I'm just getting to know. So I think we're gonna work it out from our end. Some people
Okay.
should have the
Well,
password. I need to change the password,
all right.
but
Well,
we can go
welcome.
on small and see.
Yeah, welcome to the program. how is Monrovia, Liberia today?
Liberia is good, specifically Monrovia, where I'm recently based. But as you know, that we will soon be going to the October election, and voter registration for that matter started yesterday.
Okay,
So yeah, the atmosphere is kind of gloomy.
okay. It's gloomy, it's tense. Are you monitoring these elections as a human rights organization? Are you in any way?
Yes, we are monitoring. So there's this information and a lot of conflict around the actors. And
Okay,
so right now, what we are doing now is to make sure to cool down the tension, and that has to be done through peace education. So while the rest of our colleagues are around to see how the voter registration is being initiated, and then we can also try to catch up from there and do some reporting on that. But we're going beyond that. We are doing a lot of peace building initiative so that we can have peaceful election. That's what currently we're on.
that's wonderful. Now let's go back from the very beginning. Lorma Baysah, who comes from a part of northwestern Liberia. Talk to me. What precipitated you as a person, in particular,
Oh,
to get
Jesus.
involved in this aspect of human rights? As we look at the issue concerning peace building and human rights in Liberia, coming from war to peace. As you just indicated, there is considerable tension in the air. And you, as an organization, as an advocacy group, you have that moral and ethical responsibility. That's part of your mandate to be able to bridge the gap, build the peace, strengthen coalitions through education. How did you come to this aspect of human rights, issues of justice? What gravitated you to this? And if that question is asked, talk to us a little bit about the history of this organization, the Rural Human Rights Activist Program, and how did it all start?
Well, the Rural Human Rights Activist Program was organized in the late 1990s during the Charles Taylor's regime when there was a proliferation of warring factions in Liberia. And the proliferation of warring factions in Liberia were only based on ethnic and religious dimension. And so we found out that that was very wrong, as many people were being killed. So we needed to do something about it. So a group of activists came together and said, "Look, in the first place, we need to combat ethnic tribal discrimination and religious intolerance." So that was the first concept we had, because we wanted to make sure to dilute the issue of ethnicity and religious sentiment during a civil crisis. The ideology must be based on governance, but it can be based on a religious sentiment and that of ethnicity. So we funded the Rural Human Rights Activist Program, and then we initiated the program, and gradually we tried to monitor the human rights abuses, the various massacres that were going around in and around the country. We documented them, and then that also helped some of the international and national organizations to really understand the dimension and the dynamics that took place in the Civil War. Some of which references were used by national and international actors to engage into peace building initiative and for accountability purposes as well. So just a short um, background as to when and how the Rural Human Rights Activist Program was funded.
That is a very interesting history. I'm trying to see so that people can see you very clearly. Is there a way to get another light on in the office? Your lightning is a little blurred. We can see the other side of the curtain right there, right there, right there. That's very
Oh my
okay.
God.
That's very good. We can be able to see you clearly. Started in the late 1990s. That's quite a
Come
long
again.
time. I said you started in the late 1990s, as you indicated. So since that time up to the present time, what has been the experience for you as an executive director now in this particular position in deliberating on some of these issues of relevant concern in ensuring that the peace is maintained on the one hand, and that the various principal actors, individuals, towns, villages, counties that are involved in this aspect of ensuring that Liberia does not revert again to another war, that the peace, the high-end peace, is sustained. What has that experience been like between those on the local level? And I'm certainly sure you do interact with international partners as well. Talk to us about that experience, and could you share a little bit more about some of the localities in which RAP, as an organization, as an activist group, is operating currently within the territorial confines of Liberia? Loma, are you there?
Yes, I'm there, but the network really giving me so much problem, man. So just
All
want to
right.
catch up with the last statement that you made. What was the question?
The question has to do with your operational capacity throughout Liberia, areas in which you are strategically located as a human rights group, and the
All right,
experience working with international partners.
all right. So currently, RAB is RAB has a rural office based in central Liberia, Bangabon County, and the rural office in Bangabon County caters to the counties like Lofa County, Bon County, Niba County, as well, and Grand Bassa. So in Morovia, we have an office that cater to Morovia itself. As you know, Morovia is a big country, city. And then we also have some working initiative in the eastern, in the west, northeastern. That is Bomi, Bapuru County, and Grand Cape Mount counties. So right now we are working into 7 counties, maybe we'll say 8. So as you know, our operation in the counties, in a lot of the counties, depends on the funding. So once we get enough funding, we go across. If not, we usually pay attention to the populated counties and where it's accessible for us. However, in some instances where the need exists, instead of having an office, we recruit people. We got volunteers, we got staff who are paid and some are not paid, who stay into the counties and help us give us monitoring report on prison condition, on police operations, entirely on the rule of law, on how the criminal justice system operates. And that is initiated into our fundings and design a solution that will be able to address some of the issues identified, be it education and advocacy initiatives. So our capacity as an organization it depends on the funding we have in terms of staff. So we have right now about 11 staff. Okay. But besides, we have a core staff. So whether adequate funding or not, the 6 core staff work tirelessly. So thus far,
Partnership
so
with
yeah.
international groups right
Thank you.
now in terms of the
All right.
work that you do. Talk to us about
Thank you.
that.
Thank you. RAB has been working with lots of international partners since its existence, numerous of them. Just to name few, USA through USA international organizations. We
All
work
right.
currently with a national. Yep.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You said it's
Currently, we also work with the
United
National
States Aid for
Endowment.
International Development,
Yeah.
just for the
So
benefit
we
of
also.
our global audience.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. And then we also work with uh, interchurch organization for overseas cooperation, which they call them Ego, but now it's Alliance. We also used to work with Finn Church A based in Finland, and currently we have a grant working on promoting peaceful peaceful election and responsive governance, and that grant is from the National Endowment for Democracy based in Washington D.C. So we are also working right now with DAI. All right, it's an international group receiving funding from USAID. So yes, these are just a couple of, and besides, we also work for the European Union. We had a grant for the European Union through a partnership with a local organization to work on prison reforms. So these are just few among the many international organizations that RAP has been working with.
Talk about the prison system. The those within the prison system, those that you interact with, the issues governing international protocols and conventions that has to do with human dignity, the rights of the prisoner, the person who is detained. What are Liberian prisons like? Can you talk to us about that? What are Liberian prisons are like? Can you talk to us about that?
So before I talk, last year the Rural Human Rights Activist Program was featured in the State Department report of 2021 State Department report. And even this year, we still feature in the 2022 State Department report that will tell you that RAP is actually engaged work with prisons. So you never want to go into prisons in Liberia. You never want to go into
What?
prison. The prison is overcrowded, overcrowded beyond the peak. Besides, the facilities are not the facilities at the prison are not intended for prison. No, you got paid latrines. And as a result of the paid latrines are not being taken care of, so lots of disease are within the prison. People get sick in the prison on many occasions in Liberia. There's no adequate food. The issue of food is a problem. You can't get adequate food, no medication. The Rural Human Rights Activist Program and its partner, one of its partners, Serving Humanity and Education Empowerment Shared, used to provide some medication for inmates, but at a very minimal level. The MCP, which is the Morava Central Prison, is a bad place because instead, I understand the house was built to host 300 inmates, but instead now you got 1,000 plus inmates, which is very deplorable. The next one is the rule of law. So pre-trial detainees constitute almost 60 to 70% of inmates in Liberian prison,
Hmm.
which is a violation of a fundamental human rights, Article 21 of the Constitution of Liberia, which needs to be addressed. It can be remembered some part of last year, the government of Liberia through the president, George Weah, provided amnesty to X number of inmates prolonged pretrial who stay on a prolonged pretrial detention, about 500. But yes, it still continues. So the issue now in Liberia is the rule of law. The judiciary system must be effective. Other than that, we're still going to experience more. Even if you build bigger prison, if the rule of law is not working, if cases are not adjudicated, during the required period, it still becomes a problem. So just a gist of the Liberia prison system.
Now, you are an advocate. In every democratic framework, as far as I know, in every democratic system, the rule of law must be prominent. Working with those, your international partners, people who are watching you today on this program, people who may see the need to be able to play a pivotal and a cardinal role in making sure that the rights, the dignities of prisoners are protected, they are improved, and those who need cases need to be adjudicated can be adjudicated on a timely basis. What can you share with our audience today, and how possible it is that they can be able to reach out to RHRAP in doing some coordination to be able to either become either an international partner to improve the way of life, the prison system that you talk about that is hardly deplorable, and the failure probably of government to be able to take on the responsibility that it must take on, and the involvement of you as a human rights group and other civic actors to ensure that the rule of law is guaranteed to all in keeping with the Constitution and in keeping with international conventions.
So our work is divided into segments, into layers. All right. We have the education components, awareness components that we go into communities, work with traditional religious leaders, youth, and women group to understand how the criminal justice system works. And they can use the knowledge gained to promote their own human rights or to defend their rights as human beings, as enshrined international instruments. The next step is an advocacy with the national legislature on prison reform, on policy reforms. So there are some policies that need to be changed. So we are working on that as well. The next one is engaging those who are responsible to take care of a prison, the police, the correction officers, to understand so that their capacity will be built to understand the human rights perspectives in correction and the human rights perspectives in policing. Besides, those lawyers who are to adjudicate cases, including the public defenders, need some sort of engagement every time so that they can be aware that their job must be done effectively so that the issue of prolonged pretrial detention will be reduced. Other than that,
Public defenders, Mr. Baysah,
public defenders.
yeah, let me
So the
piggyback on
public
that. Public defenders stand in the interest of defending those who are allegedly charged for a crime, for instance, and do not have the capacity to defend themselves. Public defenders come in there. So, what is that collaboration? Where do public defenders get the support? Does it come from the government or it come through international partnerships? Since you work during the training aspect of it, how does that work in Liberia?
The support need to come from government. If
That's
I say need
right.
to come
That's
from
what I know.
yeah, it need to
But
come
is
from
that
government.
support
However,
coming? Probably the support is not coming. And is that not where the problem is? If we're listening
no,
to
that's
you,
just one
Ken.
aspect.
Okay.
That's just one aspect. The public defenders are for indigent, those who cannot afford.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but they don't have the resources to be able to travel into every county or into every district. And remember, everywhere we have magisterial courts, there needs to be a public defender. But that is not the case. They're not even being paid on time in a timely manner. More besides, there are inadequate public defenders in Liberia. In each county, like a county like Lofa County, you have 2 public defenders, where you have more than 10 magisterial courts. In Nimba County, a huge county like that, you have 2 public defenders. They don't have motorbike. In fact, they don't have car. They don't have vehicle. No
Are
other
you kidding
resources.
me?
How are they going to get to magisterial areas?
Yeah, a
That is difficult.
population of over 200,000 people has two public defenders.
That's
Oh
why I'm telling
man.
you. That's why I'm telling you. And
Wow.
the other side is this: the county attorney, the county attorney, the county solicitor need to do their job effectively, to work along with the magistrates, to work along with magisterial courts, as well as the circuit courts, making sure that cases are adjudicated in the time frame of law. But that is not happening. So these are all the causes that you got of stock case compared, and then which has been resulted to prolonged pretrial detention of individuals, which is an infringement on the
On the
rights
rights,
of the
yeah,
people.
of detainees. So this is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very interesting and educational program for RAP, and not only RAP, but we initiate this program to be able to bring education to our audience on what's happening in Liberia, especially when it comes to the work that you are doing as an organization, the Rural Human Rights Activist Program. Those of you who just joined us, we want to welcome you to the program. This is the maiden edition of the Rural Human Rights Activist Program. We call it the Rural Human Rights Hour. RAP is based in Liberia.
Oh my
RAP for
God.
short, as the acronym, an organization that came into being in the late 1990s during the heat of the Liberian Civil War, and it has been involved in the process of civic engagement, education, human rights awareness, making sure that the hard earned peace in that West African state can be sustained. And with us today is a pivotal leader, a key player in the process of human rights and justice in Liberia. Mr. Lorma Baysah, he happens to be the current executive director and also a founding member of this particular noble organization. This is quite an interesting educational program, Mr. Baysah. We are hoping that we can have you here from time to time. Mr. Baysah is joining us from Monrovia, Liberia, and I'm coming to you from Western Pennsylvania in the United States on this maiden edition of the Rural Human Rights Activist program. We call it for short the RAP Hour. And if you're just tuning in, I want to welcome you to the program. Mr. Baysah, as we wrap up this particular edition, since it's the maiden edition, uh, how can people find you in Monrovia, Liberia? The global audience, those who are listening, not only those who are in Liberia, around the world. You are a key player, and Liberia is in 10 years' time, is in challenging times, difficult times, especially when this year is a year of elections in the country. How do
Oh
they
my
find
God.
RAP? How do they locate you? Do you have a website? Give us
This
some
is too
information.
bad. Can't get you at all.
Mr. Baysah, can you hear me? Mr. Loma Baysah, are you there?
I'm there, but you were breaking, so your last
So
question
the question
as
I
a party
raised,
statement and it was not understood.
the question I raised is that we are about to wrap up this edition of the first production, maiden edition of the Rap Hour. What can you tell many of our audience, those who are listening now, how can they find you in Monrovia, Liberia? Do you have a website? How can people contact you? Those who have interest in peace building, in justice issues around the world, talk to us. Give us some information.
Oh my God.
Can you hear me, Lorma?
This is too bad for me.
Are you there, Lorma? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
No, can hear you. I just getting you.
All right, so let's get a closing statement from you. How can people locate you in Monrovia, Liberia? Those who our global audience watching us and listening to us now, how can people locate RHRAP? Where are you located in Monrovia? What is that contact information? Do you have a website?
Sure, yes, we have a website. So I will type a website right here so that people in studio will see. We have a website
Can you
called
pronounce it? Can you say by word?
www.rapliberia.org. And so we
Okay,
are based in Monrovia. So once you get to our
rapliberia.org.
website,
Sir.
so I have just texted my website on a comment. Okay. Once you
So
get,
Mr. Baysah has placed within the comment section the address to the website, which is www.RHRAP Is RHRAP. Liberia is spelled LIBERA.org. www.rapliberia.org. That's the website of this particular noble institution, the Rural Human Rights Activists Program, RHRAP for short. This is the RHRAP Hour, and our special guest today has been Mr. Lorma Baysah. Mr. Baysah is the Executive Director of the Rural Human Rights Activist Program, and he's been a special guest joining us from the Liberian capital today, Monrovia, Liberia. Let's get a closing statement from you, Mr. Baysah, as we wrap up this maiden edition of the show. Closing statement.
okay, okay, Dr. Father, thank you so much for this great interview. So currently, RAP is busy around the country promoting peaceful election with a grant obtained from the National Endowment for Democracy based in Washington, D.C. The National Endowment for Democracy has been funding RAP for the past 15 to 20 years. And so right now, Liberia is very gloomy, but with the grant that we got from the National Endowment, is highly contributing to cooling the system down so that some of the violent instances that we are observing will be eased. So our target now is pre and post electoral violence is what we're targeting, is what we're fighting for, making sure that it's been reduced. So we have to do that through traditional, religious, and community leaders, providing them training of trainers, and they will go back into their respective communities to spread the information, and that will help us to gradually reduce the tension within Liberia now, as Liberia go to election in October 2023 this year. So I encourage all meaningful international partners who see our work very meaningful, go to the website and see what we're doing. There are a couple of other issues that we did not mention, but once you get to our website, you will see some of the work that we're doing. You are interested, catch us from our website, we have email addresses, then we can continue the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Lorma Baysah, joining us from the Liberian capital, Monrovia, on this particular first and maiden edition of the RHRAP Hour, coming to you on the radio service of the Christian Vision Broadcasting Network. Our interest, our commitment, we're keeping with the Christian and traditional holistic human rights principle, which are universal, is that we can be able to protect the rights of individuals globally wherever they are. And we are grateful for this particular partnership to be working with RAP, making sure that we bring awareness to what's prevailing in Liberia. You can drop us a comment in the comment section, and Mr. Baysah indeed left an aspect of where you can be able to find the website. Where you can go to be able to get further information concerning the role of the Rural Human Rights Activist Program. It's a pretty busy day, Mr. Baysah. We want to thank you so much for joining us from Monrovia, Liberia. And we are hoping to catch up with you again soon as we continue our conversations around human rights, human dignity, and the role that you are playing in Liberia. We want to thank you so much for coming today, and we will see you soon again. Give our regards to the
Thank you.
entire team in Monrovia.
Thank you. It was an honor being part of the discussion, and I hope we can have more to do together. Just that the internet connectivity from my end was giving problem, but I'm very interested in having this kind of a communication for the benefit of the international partners, so that people will understand what's going on in Liberia. Remember, the promotion of the fundamental human rights is our goal. We'll continue to push that.
That's right.
Thank you,
That's
and I'm
that's
honored.
right. Lorma Baysah ending this edition of the Rural Human Rights Activist Hour here on CVBN Radio. We will be catching up with you again another time, and when we come back, we will be talking to Lorma and his team in Monrovia, and probably in parts of the country, and hopefully in a couple of series as we go down the road. We will also be engaging with those of some of the international partners that Mr. Baysah spoke highly of. Take care, everybody. We'll see you again another time. So long.
Thank you.
Bye bye.